Alright folks, this is the short review. My son Richard Rush did the long review of this particular car, but this is the 2016 Scion IA, which essentially is a Mazda 2. It's not really a rebadged Mazda 2. I'll go through a few of those different features here in just one second. Again, if you want to know more about this vehicle and all the in-depth features of it, watch our long review that my son Richard did. But this is a kind of a combined review. We did both cars. We actually have test-driven both of these cars, the manual transmission car and the automatic. This happens to be the automatic. I'm not going to do the driving version of that in this review. Again, my son Richard did it in the long review, but we did both cars, the automatic and the standard. Let's walk around. I'll show you some different features of this particular car versus the Mazda 2, because there are some differences. The Scion has a much bolder front look to it, more of a shark or a fish look, if you would, to the front of it. Now, my son Richard likes that look better than I actually like the Mazda look better, but it doesn't matter because this is the only car in the United States of America that you're going to get. Now, a lot of you watch these reviews all around the world. Just keep in mind that the Mazda has a different look to it than this particular Scion does. The other difference is the Scion has a different headlight look to it. It's got more of this drop look in here, where the Mazda has a totally different headlight to it. And again, just a difference in the front end. So it's not necessarily a Mazda totally rebadged with this Scion. The Scion does have its own look. Now, we get into the rest of the body. From here, here to here, all of it is the same, exactly the same car, whether you're buying a Mazda 2 or the Scion IA. They are exactly the same car. As we move around to the back, though, as we get into the trunk and the taillights, this is Scion. The Mazda is going to have more of a kind of a spoiler look to it back here, and the taillights are all red on the Mazda versus the Scion. Look, other than that, trunk space, interior room, as far as how the seats function, the infotainment system, all of that is identical. The only other difference on the interior is the middle section itself, as far as where the tachometer, speedometer is. That's different on the Scion. And the vents across the front, they're a little bit different on the Scion versus the Mazda, and the knobs that control the HVAC. Outside of that, they're two identical cars. This car is being sold by Scion in the United States of America. The only place I believe that Mazda is importing that to the U.S. is Puerto Rico, which we all know how Puerto Rico works. It's not a state, but it is something that is controlled by the United States of America. Could this car be brought to the United States under the Mazda badging in the future? Yes, it could be, but for right now, 2016, the only way you're going to buy the Mazda 2 is in this Scion version, in the Scion IA. Now, mileage reports. We drove both cars, the stick shift car, the manual transmission car, and this automatic car. Believe it or not, the automatic actually gets a little bit higher fuel economy. Some of that, I think, is because my son Richard drives really hard, and the manual transmission is probably feels like it's got a little bit more power. You're going to get your foot into it a little bit more with that car than you are the automatic transmission. This particular car, we're at 42 miles to the gallon. What's so important about that? This car is under $18,000, 42 miles to the gallon. There are a lot of hybrids out there that will struggle in the winter months. Keep in mind, this is the winter time here in Colorado, and we're averaging 42 miles to the gallon. We'd be higher than that in the summer months. So 42 miles to the gallon. The hybrids will do that, but you're going to spend twice as much money. You could literally buy two IAs for the price of one of those hybrids that I just compared it to, and some of those are sister cars to this. So, Scion, Mazda, you guys have done a great job. Part of the reason why this car gets all of that high-end fuel economy is it still has all of the Mazda Sky-Active ingenuity into this vehicle, even though it's a Scion. So I tell you what, check it all out at your local Scion dealer. Tell them that John and Richard Rush from Drive Radio sent you, and be sure to watch the long review that's going to be over in the sidebar, and thanks for watching.